At an elevation of 2,700 meters in the Rocky Mountains, Colorado, the dusk sky began to darken as Mike Sullivan and Alex Peterson set up their tent. A cold wind blew through the pine trees surrounding their small campsite. "We should reach the summit of Mount Elbert by tomorrow afternoon," said Mike as he tied down the tent ropes. "The weather looks good for climbing." Alex just nodded silently, his face pale beneath the glow of the headlamp. Mike didn't pay much attention to his friend's silence. Alex had been unusually quiet throughout their journey over the past 2 days. Mike and Alex had been friends since high school in Boston. Both were avid nature enthusiasts, but life had separated them. Mike became an engineer in Denver, while Alex moved to Seattle to work for a tech company. They hadn't seen each other for 2 years before Alex suddenly contacted Mike a week ago, proposing this hiking trip. Mike was happy to reunite with his old friend, though there was something different about Alex. His skin was paler than usual, and he barely ate anything. Mike attributed it to fatigue from the long journey from Seattle. As night fell, Mike fell into a deep sleep after an exhausting day. He wasn't sure how long he had been sleeping before he woke to the sound of rustling outside the tent. He peeked out and saw Alex standing motionless, facing the forest. "Alex, are you okay?" asked Mike. Alex turned slowly, his eyes appearing empty in the moonlight. "Something is waiting for us up there," he replied in an almost whisper. Mike dismissed it as sleep-talking nonsense and went back to sleep. The next morning, they began their ascent toward the summit. Mike found it strange that Alex wasn't leaving footprints in the damp ground or the thin snow they traversed. However, he was too focused on the challenging climb to question it. When they reached a rocky area, Alex stopped. "Do you remember the news about an accident on this mountain 3 weeks ago?" Alex asked suddenly. Mike shook his head. "No, I haven't been following the news much lately." "A hiker fell from a cliff near here," Alex continued, his voice flat. "He was alone. His body was found 2 days later." Mike felt uncomfortable with the direction of this conversation. "That's terrible, but we'll be fine. We're both experienced." Alex just smiled strangely. As noon approached, dark clouds began to gather. Mike suggested turning back, but Alex insisted they continue. Soon after, a light snowstorm began to fall. In the poor visibility caused by the snow, Mike lost track of Alex. He shouted for his friend, but only the echo of his own voice answered. After several minutes of searching, he saw Alex's figure standing at the edge of a cliff, waving for Mike to come closer. "Alex, don't stand there. It's dangerous," Mike shouted. As Mike approached, he saw something that made him freeze. Behind Alex stretched a beautiful view of the valley, but Mike could see through Alex's body to the scenery behind him. His friend's figure appeared transparent, like a shadow. "You never saw the news because you were too busy," Alex said, in a voice that sounded distant. "The hiker who fell from the cliff was me, Mike." Alex extended his hand. His palm was cold as ice when it touched Mike. "I just wanted to climb one more time with my best friend. Thank you for accompanying me on my final journey." Mike stumbled backward, his heart racing. Just then, his phone beeped, the first signal since they had started climbing. A voicemail from an unknown number. With trembling hands, Mike played it.
"Mr. Sullivan, this is the Seattle Police Department. We've been trying to reach you. Regarding your friend, Alexander Peterson. We're sorry for your loss, the climbing accident 3 weeks ago. We found notes on his phone about plans to hike with you. Please call us back as soon as possible."
As Mike raised his face from the phone, Alex was no longer there. All that remained was a single set of footprints in the snow, Mike's own, leading to the edge of the cliff. The night wind bit into Andrew Mitchell's skin as he adjusted the straps of his heavy backpack. His headlamp illuminated the narrow trail that cut through the dark pine forest on Mount Zion, Utah. Zion National Park was famous for its majestic red cliffs, but the remote hiking trail Andrew had chosen was rarely visited, especially at night in late October like this. Andrew had always loved the challenge of solo hiking. Despite his friends' warnings about the dangers of solitary climbing, he felt most alive when facing the wilderness alone. This time, he planned to reach the summit before sunrise, giving him a spectacular view as dawn illuminated the valley below. After 3 hours of climbing, Andrew decided to rest for a moment. He turned off his headlamp to save battery and sat on a large rock. The silence that enveloped the mountain felt almost unnatural. No sounds of owls, insects, or even rustling leaves. Only the sound of his own breathing broke the silence. Suddenly, the sound of a breaking branch came from the darkness behind him. Andrew quickly turned, switching his headlamp back on. "Hello?" he called out. "Is anyone there?" No answer, just absolute silence. Probably just wildlife, he thought, though his instincts told him something different. Andrew continued climbing, but now every shadow seemed to move in the corner of his eye. The path that had seemed clear began to blur, not matching the map he had studied. He found himself climbing through unfamiliar sections of the mountain, steeper cliffs, trees growing in strange shapes, as if bending away as he approached. "I must have taken a wrong turn," he muttered, trying to calm himself. Andrew checked his compass, but the needle spun erratically. When he reached a higher plateau, Andrew saw something that stopped him in his tracks. A small tent set up near the cliff. There couldn't possibly be other hikers on this remote trail, especially at night. Cautiously, he approached the tent. "Excuse me? Is anyone inside?" he called out. No answer. Hesitantly, Andrew unzipped the tent, empty, but it looked like it had just been abandoned. A notebook lay open on top of the sleeping bag. Andrew picked it up and began to read. Day 3. I keep hearing footsteps following me. Whenever I stop, the sound stops too. Whenever I turn around, there's no one there. The compass isn't working. This trail isn't like what was shown on the map. I've tried going down, but I always end up back in the same place. Day 4. They watch me from behind the trees. Glowing eyes. Not animals. They don't blink. Day 5. I can't get down. The mountain won't let me leave. They're getting closer tonight. I can't. The writing stopped mid-sentence. Andrew looked at the date at the top of the page. October 10th, 2023. Almost a year ago. Suddenly, a cold wind rushed through, extinguishing his headlamp. In total darkness, Andrew heard whispering voices, not human language, but hisses and rustles that sounded like conversation. With trembling hands, he tried to turn his light back on. When the light illuminated the area again, he saw that the notebook had vanished from his hand. The tent was gone too, as if it had never been there. However, on the ground where the tent had been, Andrew saw writing scratched into the dirt. You are not alone. Andrew turned to run, only to find that the path he had taken had disappeared. All around, the pine trees looked taller, darker, and seemed to be moving closer. In the distance, he saw a flash of light, like another hiker's headlamp. Hey, he shouted, help, I'm over here. The light blinked as if in response, then slowly moved away. Andrew ran after it, stumbling over tree roots and rocks in the darkness. The light continued to lead him higher toward a summit he had never planned to climb. As dawn began to break, Andrew arrived at the highest peak, breathless and exhausted. The light he had followed had vanished. Under the first rays of sunlight, he saw a sight that froze him in place. Dozens of tents set up along the mountain summit, each empty but looking new. In each tent was a notebook, backpack, and hiking equipment left behind. As Andrew stood there stunned, the whispering sounds returned around him, this time louder, clearer. And from behind the trees at the edge of the summit, he saw blurry figures begin to move toward him, human-like but not human, with eyes that gleamed in the dawn light. Andrew realized he would never leave Mount Zion. The search team never found Andrew Mitchell. His backpack was discovered at the foot of the mountain 3 weeks later, with a camera containing his final photos. Last photo showed the view from the mountain summit as the sun rose. A beautiful scene, except for the dozens of blurry figures standing behind him, staring at the camera with unnaturally gleaming eyes. Sometimes the scariest thing in the mountains isn't ghosts. It's overconfidence. A creepy story from a mountain trail in the US. A story told by someone named Eric, an experienced hiker. He joined a group hike to Mount Granger, a lesser-known but notoriously haunted mountain in the Pacific Northwest. Out of the 5 who hiked up, only 4 came back down. The last one never really made it back. It happened in late fall. Eric and 4 of his friends, Jake, Ben, Marcus, and Tyler, planned a year-end hike to Mount Granger. It wasn't the tallest peak, but locals had warned them about strange things that happened on its trails. The first day went smoothly. They started early from the trailhead. The weather was clear and spirits were high. They camped overnight at Station 3, a flat area often used by hikers. That night, they heard strange noises near the tree line. Footsteps, but brushed it off as wildlife. The next morning, the weather shifted fast. A thick fog rolled in. Tyler felt unwell, and Marcus offered to hike down with him. Jake and Ben were unsure whether to continue. But Eric, he was determined. "We're just one station from the summit. I'm not backing down now," he said. They agreed to let him go on solo while the others returned to base camp. They promised to regroup there by nightfall. But Eric never came down that night. Jake and the others waited until past midnight. Growing worried, they contacted the Rangers. A search team was deployed early the next day. What confused everyone was that several hikers coming down that morning claimed they saw Eric hiking down with 2 other people. "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw him," one hiker said. "But he wasn't alone. The people with him looked really pale." 2 days later, Eric's body was found near Station 3, alone, curled up, no visible injuries. He looked like he died from pure fear. What chilled the rescuers even more, there were food wrappers for 3 people near his body. But Eric was supposed to be alone. And then, they found his camera. The last picture on Eric's camera showed him at the summit smiling proudly. But he wasn't alone. 4 other people stood beside him. 2 of them were Jake and Ben, but they never went past Station 3. The other 2, no one recognized them. Their skin looked pale, almost gray, their eyes dull and unfocused, their expressions off, too still, like masks. Jake and Ben swore they never took that photo. To this day, no one can explain how that photo got taken. Who were the 2 strangers in the photo? Did they help Eric get to the summit, or were they waiting for him there? After that, the trail to Mount Granger's summit was shut down temporarily. Locals say Eric wasn't the first to hike with people no one else can see. And he probably won't be the last. Mountains are beautiful, but mysterious. Never ignore that gut feeling, whether it's a weird sound, a strange fog, or the sense that someone's following you. Because out there in the wild, you're just a visitor. And not every hiker you meet is alive. If you enjoyed this story, hit like and subscribe. And if you've had any strange hiking experiences, drop them in the comments. Who knows? I might share your story next time.